Greetings, value poll listeners, and welcome to episode 107 of the Poll List Podcast, a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Chris Poirier. Yes, I'm still alive. I'm here. Hello. And with
You're
me,
actually
as
an
always,
AI counterpart.
we've
You're
actually
not
had
real.
we've had time to develop the AI voice and the hologram, and Hector can now continue without me. But here he is, Hector, who I've been incredibly thankful for over the last couple episodes and everything. Him and Todd have been holding down the fort while I was off doing adult slash police things, apparently. And I am forever thankful for their efforts and their comic works in my absence. But we're back. Hey, Hector, thanks for doing the thing.
Hi. Yeah,
Hi.
I do want to say again, thank you, Todd, for
Yeah, big time.
jumping in for a lot. And he a busy man too, and we're all
He
adulty.
busy. We're
We're all adulty.
we're out here making that bread that we don't get to eat. Mm, mm.
I could say this, having another job on top of all the other jobs has not remotely increased my quality of life. I know that it's afforded my family things, but ew.
Right?
Ew.
Everyone's
Listen,
like, "Hey, what's it like being in ministry?" Well, 17 jobs later.
like today, I'm literally walking out of this, going to work about 6 or 7 hours at my college job, then DJ a Halloween trunk or treat party, then drive to Savannah for a
Ooh,
Comic-Con at 9 o'clock at night. So
traffic should be light.
traffic should be lit.
But Savannah's lovely this time of year.
I'm not going to see any of it. I'm going to see a hotel room and a small convention center. The end. And I'm going to
The-
drive back.
Welcome to Savannah. Welcome to Georgia. Thank you for leaving your money here.
Yeah.
Our people thank you. Um, yeah, so it's been good. We've been doing the things. Comic books have continued. I had to read like 4 months worth of comics because I've had zero time. Uh, so that
Uh,
was a thing.
so as we were recording with Todd, he'd hit me up like 12 p.m. on Wednesday morning. So what are your polls this week? I'm like,
Bruh.
I'm like, sir,
No. You
first
don't
of all,
understand how we do things here at the Poll List.
first of all, I'm gonna pick up these comics at 7 o'clock tonight, and I'm not gonna get to read them till like 3 in the morning before we record. So no.
That struggle must be real.
I was like, my comic shop's an hour away. So it'd be like that.
It do be like that sometimes.
So
Uh
how is what's your official rank and such now?
oh, I can say officer now. So yes. Officer Poirier reporting for duty.
The OP? Are you an
Yeah.
op? Are
Uh,
you officer op to the kids
n-
on the streets?
no. No, I'm
Spread
I'm
the
that
ops.
I'm that old guy. You know, having going through the police academy and getting to chill with a bunch of people that are literally half your age is a vibe.
I can see that.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't the only person over 40, so we had a thing. It was cool. We did the thing.
So you're cosplaying the Nathan Fillion show, The Rookie. Got it.
Yes, no, actually, and the number of people I've had over the last couple of months are like, "Have you seen The Rookie?" I'm like, "No, I've never heard of it. Who's Nathan Fillion?"
It makes me sad that he's done that more than anything else.
Right? It's not a bad show, to be honest, though.
I get it's not a bad show, but
But
of
yeah, no,
all
I
the
get it.
things to have like a girthy amount of longevity, it's
Mm,
that.
it's true. He's put in the work over there.
It's better than his run on Desperate Housewives, but you know.
Oops. Castle? No? Anybody?
Yeah, but this is still more than Castle.
Oh, I know. Oh well. He'll still be our beloved. What was the thing he did again?
22 years later, still talking about it.
Ah, yeah, we are. Mm,
Which, by the way, there was a uh Mal one shot
yes.
#1. I was like, thought of you with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I've read it all, but I'm back to the maybe y'all should slow down on the Firefly stuff until it's good again. Mm.
I read that and I was just like, this. If I started Nathan's story or Mal's story with this, I wouldn't finish Mal's story.
Yeah. I think all we got out of some of the most recent Firefly comics is a really cool cover and end of list.
Yeah,
Well, I guess we're talking about comics, so I guess we should do the thing.
do it.
Oh, wait, we're doing the thing. All right. Well, I guess you know what time it is. Strap yourselves and prepare yourselves, for we've got Comic Sign.
Better put the word out. Can't wait for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better break necks on. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son.
No neon glow, but it's fine. I haven't been gone for months. That doesn't make me sad.
We use LED now.
I'll allow it. It doesn't glow. It doesn't even hum. It just turns on.
It just turns on.
Uh, on today's episode of the Pull List, we've got a wonderful show for you. At least I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'm here now. Makes me feel good. We're gonna hit the latest news that you need to know. Our poll recommendations for the past couple weeks or 4 months. Our favorite new number ones, and so much more. This is the Pull List podcast. That's the space where the music plays. I've got news.
Do it.
Um, no, I'm gonna leave the last thing for last because it's still the funniest slash weirdest thing. But Chip Zdarsky finally said he's good with Batman. So 157 is going to be his last issue. He said he didn't get fired. That he's had his fun and he's good. So let's see. 53's out, 154. Couple more. So he's either finishing an arc or I've kind of lost track on Batman because I've been reading it, but I'm also still behind on Batman. But yeah, Zdarsky's finishing up his run. I know he's got tons of other stuff in the works, and of course he runs a Substack still, which yeah, Substack is still a thing for all of you kids
That was
out
my
there.
phrase. I was wait, that still exists?
Yep. It's like, hey, didn't we do this once? And it's like, we did, but it's still here. So good times. What can I say? What can I say? But yeah, that's the thing. Now we'll get to all the DC news that you care about.
Well,
Hector
do
might
we
be
know who's riding after him though?
actually, I don't know if they said. So
Because
now I'm
that
gonna double
concerns
check.
me. Because I'll take bad Zdarsky over somebody else's better stuff.
Mm, all
Which
right.
just to say that in I don't know if you saw they in a 2 week window they ended the previous Nightwing run and started the next Nightwing run the next week. So no even like linger time. So I had 118 and 119 in the same pull.
Whoa.
So
All right. All right, DC, you do you, I guess.
but
We're all
that's
in. We're all in now.
but that was like such a strong contrast. Like here's the ribbon on a 4 year long story.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Now here's a somebody else telling a Nightwing story.
Hey, we present this guy. Hi, everyone.
Mm-mm.
Uh, I'm gonna have to keep working on that because Bleeding Cool doesn't want an internet today,
Okay.
but that's fine. So my next DC news is something that you may have noticed because I'm mostly sure you were reading this book, but Vertigo is back. DC has announced that they're bringing back Vertigo as an imprint. Black Label was supposed to kind of be the indirect predecessor of Vertigo. New York Comic Con hit. They said they're bringing Vertigo back and that their first book was already in publication.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's
And
the yeah.
yeah, be prepared to be confused because technically it started under its old label and it showed up either in the last issue or maybe you haven't seen it yet. I forget. But Nice House by the Sea is technically the first book in Vertigo's return line. So the latest issue of it should have a Vertigo logo on it.
I mean, and also you're doing it as the sequel book and not even like with your own new story. So, Nice House by the Lake is
Lake.
in DC, Nice House by the Sea is Vertigo.
Mhm.
That's great.
I mean, it's all still DC, but whatever. Um, but yeah, they're basically kind of putting all the Sandman stuff, Hellblazer, Swamp Thing, Doom Patrol, all the Vertigo label stuff is gonna be back in its little home.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, I like it because Vertigo meant something. I don't know if this is just an acknowledgement that hey, Black Label happened, and well, there we have it. Um,
It didn't carry the weight it was meant to. But then again, you're gonna have adulty stuff that doesn't fit into that because like currently Plastic Man is Black Label. So
yeah, and they have a few things that are sitting on the Black Label. So I don't know if Black Label's going away. They haven't really said. Um, it's under the same editor.
yeah.
That's so I guess we'll see how that plays out. Yeah, they confirmed that Black Label is not necessarily going away, but here's some stuff. Look, DC's working some stuff out, fam. Because they're all in.
I'm gonna say a thing,
Go for it.
and you above all else will get this probably more than most of the people listening.
Oh,
Um, every time I hear or read DC All In, I get cringy church planter training with tear sheets on the wall.
oh,
Like,
yeah.
where
No,
you
that's a vibe that could take an entire podcast to unpack.
put the tear sheets on the wall and write out
Yeah.
all your stuff and like, you know,
You got to be all in.
you got to be all in. And I'm like, you got to be all in your community. You got to
And you
be
got to join the team. You're going to be on our team, and we're going to be all in out there.
I
Half of you
literally
just completely unplugged and don't know what we're talking about. And the other half just went, that's not cool, bro.
I just did 3 days of doing sound and lights for a church planter conference.
I saw all those posts and I was thinking about you. I'm sorry. Because I used to be part of that Send network. So good
Yeah.
for you. Congrats, bro.
Listen, in terms of church planter networks, Send is a good network. But after you sit through the trainings for all the times it's a lot,
All in,
man.
baby.
All in. Because they're DC.
They're doing it live.
They're doing a lot.
Uh, my other DC news, I think we alluded to before I disappeared, or I sent the messages to you, but at New York Comic Con, they confirmed it. Hush is getting a sequel, I guess.
Yeah.
All they've given us is Hush 2, most of the original creators, all that good stuff. But the introduction to it, it's not releasing till next year, 2025 in like March. But the introduction to it is going to be in November this year in a new Justice League book called Justice League Unlimited. So, however they're setting this story up, we get to find out next month. So, how do you feel, Hector? Like, Hector's jam is definitely the Hush story arc.
It's my
Um,
favorite.
so, so how is this making you feel, bud?
I feel more confident than when they did that Hush animated movie because that hurt my soul.
The ending of that was not your jam, huh?
No, I mean they were trying so hard to not have us
Excuse me. Ooh.
already know the ending that they ruined it.
Right, right. All of
And
us
by
were like, wait.
which, by the way, on that note, I watched the Long Halloween movies
Hmm.
off of Todd's recommendation, and being another Jeff Loeb property, they do the same thing.
Oh no.
Like, because all of you watching the movie that have read the comics, you're waiting for the plot twists you already know. They plot twist the plot twists in the Long Halloween films. Um, because like one of the big things in the comic of the Long Halloween is that Alberto Falcone is, Holiday in some aspect or shape or form. And when you get to the Valentine's Day or whatever it is, murder, where just like in Hush, because it is very much, Jeff Loeb's a one trick pony sometimes. Um, it's like,
Hmm.
psych, this person's dead. Taha, they were really the bad guy. Um, But
Surprise!
they pull a thing where you see Alberto Falcone get shot, and you're like, okay, fair enough. And
Yeah, okay, okay.
then he goes off the side of the boat, and you're like, that tracks. Then he goes through the propeller of the boat.
No, he did.
Yeah, I was like, and so I was sitting there watching. I was like, oh,
Oh,
now what are we doing? So
we're
then
doing a
it
thing.
yeah, so it's like, oh, okay. But they did the same thing with Hush, and I get it. Like they killed Tommy, and I'm like, this story doesn't work without what? Okay, whatever. I'm excited at the idea of a sequel with that creative team. And what made me a little more comfortable was already seeing the art.
Hmm. Yeah, they gave us 2 pages.
They gave us 2 pages and seeing uh Hush moving a miniature of Huntress, I guess across a game board was fun. But then being my mind now versus my mind as a 20-year-old reading Hush was like, where does he get these printed? Like,
Who's doing this work?
like what
Some hobby store somewhere's like weird request, but okay.
like who's going into Kinko's and having miniature cardboard meeples of like local superheroes
That's not creepy.
printed? Yeah, it's just like, hey, I need a meeple that looks like your mom. Like just
Excuse me?
yeah. It's like it's just, totally not
Hmm.
connected, but
All right. Well, you keep your secrets, Mr. Creepy Man.
yeah, it's just like I was just like was my first thought. I was like, where is he getting these printed? Like,
You're supposed to suspend reality, Hector.
I'm like, who's fulfilling this order? Like,
There's some villain shop that's like, you need more stuff for your evil lair so you can make plans. Yes,
that's a
please.
book I would read.
The Walmart for evil for supervillains.
No, just like the for all the marketing needs of villains, like every time the Joker puts his face on a balloon,
Right?
or
Who
or
prints who prints all the free swag from businesses for the villains?
yeah, this is like for imprint for crime. Um,
Hmm.
I would read the crap out of that. So yeah,
So so close but different. Starter villain is your next read.
starter villain. Okay,
Yeah, it's a book. It's not quite that vibe, but it's basically kind of what happens when this dude finds out. I think it was his dad or uncle. It was someone that was the dad figure. Passed away, and he left him his company. And he finds out that it's literally a front for a supervillain, like in the volcano lair type supervillain kind of thing.
okay.
And so they're like, yeah, so we got to catch you up and basically turn you into your family, and we got to go do some supervillain stuff.
On that note, while we're still in spooky season,
Mm,
roughly this will drop towards the end of spooky season.
mm.
Um, have you ever seen the masterpiece that is the diary or Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon?
No.
Please put that on a post-it, put that in the text to yourself. Behind the Mask. And they had to add the last part because it came out the same year as the um Hannibal Lecter prequel. Um
Well,
Behind the Mask.
that's got some creepy art. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon is a college uh documentary crew filming a project with a dude who's training to be the next supernatural serial killer.
Oh, I think I heard about this.
And so this documentary film crew is following him and he's like, all right, first we're going to lay the groundwork. We're going to start creeping her out at night. We're going to wait and just kind of loom in the shadows. See that tree right there? Perfectly planted just for looming. Watch this. And then you see him like put on his mask and like step out and then diss right behind the tree. Then he runs back and gets in the van. You see that? You see the chills I gave her? And it's like him walking this documentary crew through the whole thing where he's going to kill all these teens and set up the survivor girl.
Yeah. Set up the final girl.
Yeah. But then there comes a point where there's a plot twist and it goes from documentary low quality film style to you're in full deep in the movie and it's not what you thought it was.
Okay.
Like it's hilarious. The main actor reminds me of a young Walter Coggins.
Mm.
And it's in my top 10 scary movies of all time. That's fun. It's very like this and Tucker and Dale hold hands.
That's oh, half of our audience just went, that was a thing.
Sorry, but go on.
But no, that's good. Um, and hey, look at that. Freddy Krueger's in it.
Yes, Robert Englund is in it.
Yep.
Herschel from The Walking Dead is in it. The um This house is clear lady from Poltergeist is in it.
Okay. Well done. All right. Okay. I see you.
But
I
for an
see you.
indie horror movie to get those three all in the same stuff, yeah.
Beautiful. That's extra recommendations for y'all in this spooky season. So I'm gonna wrap news up because we have to talk about this. At New York Comic Con, IDW unveiled a new logo, and
Mhm.
the entire comic world went, "What did you just do?" Have you not seen this?
I saw it, but I don't think it impacted me.
Yeah, but basically, a bunch of creatives stared at that for a hot minute and went, "No, try again. Like, we know you're the competition, but no, do it again." It's just bad. And the number of articles that have come out since that's it's great because they're like, "Hey, we have rebranded to signify this new and bold direction." And literally the entire industry went, "It was bold, all right." Um, a weird color for them, but also, mm, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. And you can click on the link in the show notes, or you can Google that and you'll find it. Or if you go to Bleeding Cool, you'll find almost an article per day from New York Comic Con of them making fun of it. Um, but I've seen some of my friends who are in marketing and do other things in the comic book world, and we're like, we don't know if IDW is just trying to die, but nothing they've been doing lately is helping. They kept Turtles. That's about all they got. But their logo, I don't know. Either marketing school is not what it used to be, or they're not actually testing things on real human beings until they release it into the wild.
Well, just to add to this, I'm actually in marketing as a professional now, so don't
There you
trust
go.
anything.
Right,
None of us
right,
know what we're doing.
right. That's what Canva's for. What? Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Did you say that was the end of your news?
Yeah, you got something?
Just to throw this out there, did you hear about the new Daredevil book?
No.
Ooh wee. Here's some news for you, chum.
Mm.
Uh, Daredevil is getting the old man Logan treatment.
Oh, I saw something about this. Continue.
Yeah, yeah. Daredevil Cold Day in Hell
Mm.
is going to look at a grizzled uh Matt Murdock who from the art that I saw will be a priest. Um Following the debacle of the recent stuff as well. Um but yeah, they're going to give him the old man Logan treatment.
Mm. Old man Matty.
Yeah. Which definitely is not as cool to me as old man Logan just because you know what old man Daredevil means? It means you can hear where all the danger is, but your joints don't work enough to get out of the way.
I was gonna say maybe he can't.
Yeah. I was gonna say, nah. It's like it didn't matter. You're not gonna be able to move that fast.
Because like, what if he needed hearing aids? Does that work? No. Hmm.
Yeah. Mm.
He's just old and he needs to take more Quosican or whatever, the stuff for the joints. Yeah. Or they all hear him coming because they're all cracking every time he jumps and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I suppose that's what you needed to know. That's our bi-weekly look at the industry and delving into the inside knowledge that you need. As always, you can join in on the conversation with Hector and I and all of your other nerdy friends on the Love Thy Nerd Discord and begin your geeky adventure together with us. Tell us what you liked, what you hated, or possibly even what we missed. We probably missed something. I've missed 4 months worth of things. Um, but we're always here to talk about the nerdy things, and we love to do that with our listeners like you. So I've been away for a while. So wow me with some comic books. And I'm gonna try to keep my list semi short and somewhat relevant in the last couple. But
So
there were some arcs I needed to close up after being away for a while.
understandable, because who else
Mm.
is going to tell us about them?
Oh, oh.
Um, so in honor of your return, I thought
Uh-oh.
I would just do a whole bunch of the crap that I already do. Um, so
In honor to your return, here's five DC books. Just
there's
kidding.
five DC books. It almost was.
I know.
Um,
I was making the joke and I was like, well, I can't say all.
yeah, it's real close. So first off, Detective 190.
Which I
And
almost picked up based on reading some certain articles, so I won't steal your thunder there. But hey, it's all in. I see it. It's right there.
it's Tom Taylor, and that's all I needed.
That's
Um,
fair.
because after losing Tom on Nightwing,
Mm,
I'm like, I need some Tom in my life. And I will say this: I know he is not perfect, and there's some people that don't like his X-Men run. Um,
that's fair.
but Tom Taylor has been one of the most consistently entertaining writers across comics for the last 2 or 3 years, and I don't think he gets a lot of shine for that.
That's fair.
Um, if somebody's taking over for Zdarsky, I'd be happy if it was him. Uh, because I feel like Tom is the other side of the coin to the other Tom. Like like
That's true.
Tom King, you're gonna get like deep analytical, let's look at the fabric of life and all these things. And Tom Taylor, like, hey, remember when comics were fun? Here's this.
Hey, remember when you didn't feel like you needed therapy after reading an arc?
Yeah. Or that the arc might be therapy. Um, and
Mm, I see
and
what you did there.
because Nightwing's run, which we'll cover in a minute, but like Nightwing's run of Tom Taylor really was one of the most encouraging, uplifting stories I've read in comics in a long, long time. Across a whole arc from like leaping into the light whenever that started until the end of that. But anyway, um, this is good. And this was the last copy at my store,
Ooh,
and I had to take it from uh the comic shop owner's personal pile because he had already put it in there. Like it wasn't on the shelf, and I asked, and he went and dug it out of his box.
nice.
Um, but this starts us off with the introduction of a new female lead in the Batman universe, who is effectively, uh, I guess Bruce's pseudo adopted sister, but not really. Like she was never part of the family, but she's named after Martha. Um, like because Martha helped with orphanages and stuff. There was
And because we needed another Martha in DC Universe.
yes, she's something like
Mm.
Martha's the middle name.
Oh,
So
okay.
so
It's like,
you'd have to dig deeper to throw out the whole reference.
why'd you
Um,
say that name?
and the middle one. Um, but there was a troubled teen who was abused by her boyfriend and gave birth, and like the whole story centers around Thomas and Martha Wayne's relationship when they were younger, and it's actually a Thomas and Martha story that isn't boring. Um, and but basically, a the story kicks off with Thomas and Martha with a abusive boyfriend or husband uh, coming into the ER with his pregnant girlfriend, and like one doctor looks at the pregnant girlfriend and says, "Oh, he beats her." let him
Oh,
die.
oh.
Like the older doctor is telling younger Thomas, just let him die. He'll be dead in 4 minutes if you just stand here for a minute. Go get a cup of coffee. Let him die. And like Thomas is like Hippocratic oath, and so then once he finishes saving the dude's life, uh, the woman says, "You let him live, then you have to get rid of this baby, because he'll kill it."
Hmm.
And so Martha's like, "We're gonna get you into a safe place, and we're gonna get you away from that," and like la 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 la. And um, but then like they have a whole conversation with Bruce about the situation and la la la. I mean, it's good backstory, it's good exposition. And then apparently we're meeting the adult version of this woman later towards the book. Um, and this also is in uh, reintroducing almost the concept of the Venom storyline way back in the 80s or 90s. Um, but instead of making him stronger, uh, they are trying to fight his aging.
Hmm.
Where like the girl that his mom saved her life is apparently now developing a serum that fights the effects of aging, because a kid dies because Bruce wasn't fast enough to get to him.
Okay.
And like just literally like you can't outrun that kid because you're wearing 50 pounds of Kevlar and you're old. And so yeah, this has like predictability a little bit in some things, but this was fun. It was probably one of the more enjoyable Batman reads I've read in a while. So I had them put Detective back on my list before I even read it. Just because I was like, Tom Taylor's writing Batman. I'm here for this. So sign me up for 6 to 12 issues of whatever. I'm down for that. What you got? Oh,
That's all you got?
no, just like let's alternate, or do you want to do it me straight through?
Yeah, hit through
Okay. Then I'm gonna go ahead and hit Nightwing, the finale of Nightwing,
it, but not the one after it.
but not the one after it. It is not on the list, sir. I'm trying not to speak too negatively because it's the first issue, but you. Um, well,
Whoops.
it's very you coming after this because this was
That's
gorgeous.
fair.
And what's great is
Did they
uh
change the whole team?
I believe so.
Mm.
Uh the
Sometimes
art,
art will pull me out of something on a first issue if it's been really good for consistently. So that's why I ask.
yeah, the new book has very 90s vibes.
They've been doing that a lot lately.
And so one thing to compare, like this is 118. Look at this in comparison with the cover of the first Leaping into the Light book. And they make a nice little connecty piece. Um,
Nice.
so they even finish out the story in that capacity. Um, but this is basically the end of the story. This is and also in terms of setting things up, they introduce this villain Heartless in the first story arc, and you don't get the final confrontation until the last issue. Um, of Dick Grayson versus Heartless. For real. And uh lots of big stuff happens in it. You get a full picture of the Bat family being the Bat family. You get Dick Grayson getting you this might be a canon event or a what do you call it, a key um for speculators, because we get the death of Tony Zuko,
Hmm.
like the canon death of the dude who killed Dick Grayson's parents. Um is in this. And he became a factor in this, like as a main character through in there, because this is also the book that introduces Dick Grayson's half sister. Um,
So they're sticking with that one.
yep, she's mayor of Bloodhaven,
Hmm.
and she's still the mayor of Bloodhaven in the new book. Uh, they also go full John Wick with Nightwing in this one, because since like the first couple of issues, we've watched a puppy called Haley grow up,
Okay.
like Haley Circus Haley,
Mm.
and during one of the battles towards the thing with uh Heartless, Haley catches a bullet. And so then you get all of that. But I'm not gonna, it's not a spoiler, but they end the whole book with uh Starry Sky from
Yeah.
Van Gogh, and that's their we're out. And they all the creative team signs it at the bottom of the page. So they're like literally putting their stamp on it. That was fire. I will stand by to say that leaping into the light through uh the fallen Grayson, that whole story arc minus the crossover tie-ins is one of the most solid complete storylines I've read.
Mm.
It does have its low points. There's a whole pirate thing and being afraid of heights and stuff that they introduced because of the other tie-ins and such. But this is up there with Astonishing X. This is better than Astonishing X-Men's run. And I
That
think
says
that
something.
that's the best X-Men run I've read, and this is better than that. Um, this is not as long as Tom King's run on Batman, but it's about as good as the good stuff in Tom King's run. Uh, let's go X-Men number 4. Um, we basically get a very rogue-centric story, but also they have gone so far out of their way throughout the course of history to make us wonder why the crap was Charles Xavier ever in charge of anything, because he's kind of a douche waffle. Um,
Why would Gail do that? No, Gail, no.
well, the one of the new elements they introduce in this backstory is Charles met a girl, Charles got that girl pregnant, and now it's like, I don't want that. Like,
Mm.
thanks, Chuck. Um, and so the new main villain of this story is Charles's decomposed, jilted ex-lover. Like, this is very much a Jason out of the bottom of the lake, rising from the dead and wanting to slaughter people because Charles sucked as a boyfriend. Um,
Whoa.
that's like a backstory of it.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. But I will say this has maybe some of the best rogue storytelling in a long while.
I gathered because I haven't had a chance to start it because I missed it. But I know Gail's been posting on the Twitters and everywhere else. Lots of rogue stuff, so had a feeling.
Yeah, so this issue was maybe the best just single rogue story in a very long time. Um, and definitely enjoyed it. Um, and then also my last one is Wonder Woman number 14, um, which is the We Killed Steve Trevor issue.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a really, really well done issue. Um, it's effectively and it's one of these issues that bounces around like in time, and like it starts you at day 3, day 51, day 12, day whatever. But effectively, um, Steve knows he's getting set up to be used as a tool against Wonder Woman, but he goes in for it anyway because he thinks he'll be able to beat it and be there for her when she needs him. And then he gets killed. And the entire book is Wonder Woman's mourning process and even going into the underworld to have a final conversation with him before rising above her pain and going back. This is probably one of the best articulated um and well crafted stories out of this series. And I kid you not, as I was just flipping through this page, as I was like, this reminds me of a Tom King story. And I was like, oh, wait,
Right.
this is a Tom King story.
Right.
Um, so A, this book has the death of Steve Trevor. B, this book has the birth of their child through Amazonian means.
Okay.
Like how Wonder Woman was crafted.
Oh. Oh.
She takes some of her and Steve and crafts a baby. Um, and that's
Kind
who
of.
that's who this whole story has been told to. Because
Oh.
like from issue one, you see that it's a narrative.
Mm.
That's who it's being told to. And
How I
this is
Met
kind
Your
of,
Mother got it.
yeah, it is How I Met Your Mother, literally. So there you go.
Oh no.
Hopefully a better ending.
Zing.
What you got?
Valid. Okay. I've been gone a while, but Rare Flavors ended while I was gone. Um, our cannibal, not a cannibal, but probably a cannibal book. Um, that actually we learned once upon a billion episodes ago was more so about some retelling of a very particular Hindu story about one of their gods of death. I think it was death because he does kill a lot of people, but it's part of. I can't say any of their names, so I'm not going to do anyone dishonor by by trying to do that. But this book in a 6 issue arc ended really well, and it's not often that I see a book that brings a fairly new concept to bear, really cool art and everything, but ends up getting all the way to the end, and you go, "Huh, this this had an ending where you go, huh," because the demon this guy that was making the documentary about making food is traveling with um is a demon, did some bad things, but the end of the whole thing in the documentary is the filmmaker being like, but I learned something. And he actually shows and the whole point that the demon was kind of making was you need to slow down long enough to enjoy the simple things in life. And one of those simple things is enjoying food, and the people that make it being the punchline to the middle of the story. But uh the the character that is the documentarian kind of hits the end, and he makes a final dish because each issue was basically focused on a particular dish that they were filming, and they literally go through like most of these books have recipes in them. I'm quite positive if I were to look these up, they're going to match that it's not just, art, that I bet they're accurate.
Yeah.
Um, and the backstories of the people that either had the restaurant that created it, the sacrifices they made to, because being in the restaurant business is a thing, but these were like small businesses in over yonder type environment. But the guy basically hits the end and he goes, and I realized that I missed kind of the basic things. And he makes a dish that his mother made all the time while he was growing up. His mother had cancer and passed away and was a big part of the story. You don't find any of this out till the end, and sorry, but um you should read the journey because it's you spend the first 3 issues knowing you're halfway through this arc going, what's happening? And then 4, 5, 6 wrap up the pieces that you missed, tell this background of this Hindu story that's very, very specific, but has a lesson in it. And then the overall thing has a lesson in it. Um, and I kind of came away with the end was more so not just that, he learned something from this, but it's even in bad circumstances, you can probably learn something in life is kind of the end vibe. And I'm like,
So it's
whoa.
Ecclesiastes. Got it.
Yeah. So, well, and that's kind of the other thing is reading it from our perspective that, Hector and I are Christians, and I know about this much. I'm holding up my fingers barely an inch apart for those of you that don't watch us, about Hindu culture, but this is like a quick dive into that. And then, right, we know that a lot of things that we see in the world overlap because guess what? A lot of these stories came from someplace. Um, But Rom did a thing here, and Rom's writing on like a billion different books right now. Um, and they're all superhero-y. I have a feeling this is the story he wanted to tell,
Mm.
if I had to bet. Um, so I imagine it's going to come out in trade here pretty soon. So read that as a unit because going all the way through that is very rewarding, I feel like. And I like it when comics do that. Like I like punch it in the face and stretchy pants and all that occasionally and superhero-y stuff, but I like it when people take this medium and tell a tight six and you can walk away from it and go, that made me scratch the head a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was fun to look at. Um, so now bounce to the other side of the spectrum, and I don't know if you saw this book, but Grommets.
No.
So Grommets is Rick Remender and Tim, but it's a basically a '90s skater story. It's about this kid that goes to a new high school, meets a bunch of um, new folks, and he's like, "I like to skate him aboard." And it's literally just all the kids hanging out together doing stupid teenager skater things. I'm waiting to see like if this comic book like straight up breaks into like crazy comic world or if it's literally just going to be slice of life. Because it's a 7 issue run and issue 2 recently came out, but it's got cool art. It's a vibe. So if you were even remotely on the edge of skate culture growing up like us old people, this is a vibe. And I posted the one thing um, that I got from it on my Facebook a while ago because it was funny. Um, I gotta find, yeah. He's hanging out with his new friend and he reaches into his bag to pull out a mixtape and he's like, "You like Rush?" And the kid's like, aren't they Satan worshippers?" And they're like, "No, they're from Toronto." I was like, "That's funny."
That is funny.
It's like, "No, man, they're from Toronto." I mean, whatever. So that's a fun, it's just fun. And so that was my deep, deep thoughts to fun. And now I'm gonna do that once more with my remaining polls. Jeff Lemire is on that stuff again. So Minor Arcana is his latest, and that's 2 issues deep as well.
That's the one
And
Todd has been doing, right?
I don't know, did he have Minor Arcana?
I thought he might
Because
have.
I flipped through. If he did, then he's got good taste, and that's why I have to talk about it.
He did something Lemire just because of you.
I'm double checking the last couple episodes just to
I
see.
don't know if I even put the notes in the last episode, so
Okay,
it
then
might
maybe
not be
not.
there.
Then he might have because of that, but I'm going to repeat it because yes. Um, so we were talking about Tom King kind of has those cycles. It's funny because my wife and I both read Lemire, and we both were like, Jeff, do you need help? Are you trying to say something?" Because most of his stories where he's doing something slightly weird, but also telling a life story, generally are not happy stories when they get
No,
set up. And this is a woman that clearly has at least an alcohol addiction and possibly some other things and everything, but found out that her mom has cancer and has gone back to her small town in Canada because Jeff. Um, this is the setup to a lot of stories that Jeff writes. Um, Except so far, this character is not likable or lovable in any way because she just hates everything about life and think. But her mom basically owns a fortune telling joint. Um, and she gets home and she's going through the. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're so and so. You're home again. Yay!" And she's like, "No, get bent. I hate all of you. That's why I left." Um, but mom's got cancer and basically, "Oh, I'm here to care for you." And she's like, "No, run the business." And she's like, "Nope, it's like you swindle people by looking into a fake glass ball and all that good stuff. So you're nope, not gonna do it." um but in the middle of the first night, an old elderly woman that apparently her mom's been helping talk to her dead husband forever, like shows up and is like, "Yo, your mom like sees me whenever," and it's like, "Well, mom's like dying, so needs her sleeps." And the woman's like, "Nope, need to know my husband's still at the place." And she's like, "Fine, I'll do the thing." So she sat down and started the reading and like actually kind of phased over, such as it were. So uh, we don't know what any of that means, but she talks to this lady's husband that's like at a campsite and wherever this place is. And he's like, yeah. It's like, just let my wife know I'm still here. And that was literally the question the wife had asked. So congratulations, you made it through 2 issues. Um, but in the art itself, see if I can find a quick example. If anybody read Underwater Welder, also by Jeff, he does this a lot where he phases a lot of things in different colors. And I have a feeling this is going to be one of those things because certain pages are almost black and white.
Oh, got it.
Others, in Underwater Welder, that helped you know where you were in this story. I have a feeling that's not true here. Um, because except it's inverted in this case. When she's mostly in reality, it seems to be black and white, but there seems to be a color shift when she's in what astral whatever, not here. Um, so lots of emotional baggage already, and apparently, a daughter that can connect to something. And we don't know whether the mom ever did it or not, or if she truly is, that's the gimmick or whatever. But this is, if you're into Jeff Lemire making you sad, I have a feeling this is probably going to be your book. Um, so it's fun because I don't know where he's going with the whole fortune teller thing. But the whole thing's called Minor Arcana, so I have a feeling we're gonna find out she's got some powers. And then finally, back on the fun side of things, and Todd might have mentioned these as well. I think you mentioned Geiger. So I'm on the other side, but the Unnamed Universe and Ghost Machine is still amazing, and Redcoat is still the most broken, crazy alternate history book that I've read in recent times. So, British soldier comes over here during the war, the revolution, trips across our founding fathers that are doing some type of crazy ritual, probably some Freemason nonsense. Uh, um, Gets cut by this thing and finds out that he's immortal. And he's the doctor, but not. He just keeps not dying. Um, and through the first journey of things, he meets a teenage Albert Einstein who becomes his little buddy. And they meet Benedict Arnold, who's also an immortal because he did some nonsense during the revolution. Um, and you find out that the crazy cultists that he got cut by way back in the day are basically trying to form a new America. Um, and I won't spoil anything, but they're literally dropping all these people we know from like way back history for America and are just telling this absolutely bonkers alternate history where the young Albert Einstein speaking in an atrocious German accent um, is helping a British soldier who is incapable of dying, basically saving the world. And that may be the most comic book thing I've said in a very long time. But it's well drawn, it's crazy, and it's crazy in a good way, which is why I'm always like, yeah, let's do that. That's a thing now. So those are all my catch ups. There was lots of stuff in between. I still have a bunch of DC to catch up on. I am enjoying the Batman by Gaslight stuff.
Yeah, enjoy that one.
So it's not great, but I can see all the things they're doing and going, oh, okay, that's clever. And that's about what I'm getting out of it.
Yeah, that's about where I was. I don't think I had time for that.
No, that's why I was like, I'm not. That's where I'm at. That I was like, okay, clever, but so far not good. Every time I see a reference, I'm like, ooh, reference. But that's about it.
Yeah, no.
Um, I you did say offline that you talked about Absolute Batman, and I thought that was a vibe.
Yeah, that was a vibe.
That same kind of thing that I'm like, whoa, we're way over here, but at least it's interesting.
Right.
And that's where I'm at on that one. Is that I was like, all right, Pennyworth, I see you.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's definitely an interesting dynamic. They shifted enough stuff to be like, oh, okay,
right?
tell me a story.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, let's go. This whole DC continuity thing works out when it's done well.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, all right, hit me to that number one, and then I'll hit you with my. I picked a spooky book,
Oh, what?
a spooky book.
Oh,
It's October. That I
yeah.
didn't know. I also didn't know that this series was coming back. So
I didn't enjoy any the spooky books I've really picked so far. Um,
I did try
absolute.
reading a bunch. Like,
Yeah.
did you? Sorry, sidetrack. Did you read any of the Hello Darkness?
Yeah, I read the first
I read
one.
the first one, and I was like, I see what you're doing, but I don't think I care.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was.
Yep.
Absolute Wonder Woman number one. Um, I'll definitely say it's not as fun as Absolute Batman
Hmm.
number one, but definitely very interesting. Um, and the Witch Cirque, which by the way I mentioned on my other podcasty thing that has is the first villain cast for the DCU
Hmm.
film franchise. The What's the lady's name who was the witch in The Witcher? Uh,
Oh,
Main love interest.
yeah, yeah. Dang it.
Either way,
Hmm.
she's going to be the Wonder Woman villain Cirque in the upcoming DCU. She's playing it as the bad guy in Creature Commandos audio wise, and then she's going to be filming it live action for future projects.
Cool.
Um, but effectively, this is a complete departure from Wonder Woman's whole backstory. To the fact that which god was it? Oh god. Hold on. I know where I can find this. It's not too far in here. Um Apollo. Okay. Uh the witch Cirque is in hell,
Okay.
and all the Amazons have been killed except for Diana, and Apollo shows up in hell and gives Cirque newborn baby Diana and says, "Here, you have to raise this kid now. That's part of your hell." And
Yee.
so the entire and you're in a very Agatha all along vibe. She can never say the word Amazon.
Hmm.
And so the entire book, for the most part, is uh Wonder Woman her whole growth into adulthood being raised very closely with Cirque. Um,
Hmm.
or Cersei. I don't know if am I supposed to say Cersei? Is this Game of Thrones? Um, but it's circle without the L. Do with as you will. Um, and to with her coming to the fruition of her power, and where she starts fighting giant demons on a uh skeleton Pegasus. Um, so she's an Amazon warrior who's been raised in hell. And
Dang.
uh there's actually a page where this giant hellish snake comes up to Wonder Woman while she's in her cribbish area, and rather than Cirque getting involved trying to save the kid, she just stands back and watches what happens.
Hmm.
And so baby Wonder Woman grabs the snake by the throat, and then the next panel has her throwing it across the room saying yeet.
Yeet.
Yeet. Um, and it's got a toddler Wonder Woman chastising a baby dragon for blowing fire on her. And this is a really dope mother-daughter story. Um, and there was one line that kicked me square in my emotional uh testicles. Um,
Hmm.
it says raising a child is how you fall in love, but letting them go is how you prove your love.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, thank you, jerks. Um,
Fine.
so that was good. Again, it was not as fun as Absolute Batman, but it was well done because it was good. It was emotional storytelling, so it's less vibey and more like vibey. So what's your number one?
I talked about this series a while ago, Where Monsters Lie, which literally was a story of this cul-de-sac that had nothing but mass murderers and serial killers that lived on it. Most of nobody owns any licensing here, so they're all foils for basically every horror movie slash actual serial killer that you've ever seen. And the story arc of the first one was that an FBI agent finds it. Um, and now that we're into the second arc, I can say this is very much Cabin in the Woods um, type thing. But all these serial killers live there, and so that they're safe. That there are rules. They can't kill each other. They're not supposed to kill each other. They're lovely neighbors, um, but this FBI agent finds it, and you find out his story is that a serial killer had murdered his entire family, and that's why he became an FBI agent and all that good stuff. And at the end of the first arc, he murders them all except for like two.
Of the serial
Eh,
killers?
yes, he finds the cul-de-sac, and he's like, "No, nah, badge down, kill everyone." And it's like, okay, which technically makes him a mass murderer. Not, and so at the end of that, the person that was like in charge of that cul-de-sac um, is kind of like, well, guess you're one of us now, kind of thing. And you're like, cool, scene. And you thought the book was over, but it's not. Um, so it's back, and they've arrived at another cul-de-sac. So new mass murderers, terrible people, and everything, and a new manager and everything. And why I say we get the Cabin in the Woods vibe is because this is the site that apparently is like the main site, and they call it Site C. But they're basically like, yeah, all the other cul-de-sacs, and it's like that's creepy. um, and so this FBI agent's basically playing out is like, am I actually one of them now, or am I literally here to just kill all the killers?
One like, are they serial killers in each cul-de-sac, or is there like some of them monsters and stuff?
No, most of them are. Some of them are up against the monster. Like our first kind of monster shows up, so it is kind of a little of horror slash everything. But yeah, I guess monsters count this time. In the first one, they didn't really have it, but this is like they're meeting, meeting, and that guy's definitely not a dude. um, but they're literally having a meeting, and the meeting is basically like, well, because the other cul-de-sac kind of all got murdered, you guys are back up in rotation to go out there and like kill people because we're down a team kind of thing. So they're having their Monday morning meeting of how are we gonna do the killing. And so it's funny because one of the dudes in there is a holiday killer. Um, and so he's like, I'm not supposed to go back out till the 4th of July. He's like, you've left me with like Arbor Day. How am I supposed to murder people with Arbor Day? And you're just, it's this is one of those books that it's just so wrong that it's kind of right. Because his joke was, he's like, I just came off Easter, and he goes, and it took me a year to train those rabbits to crave human flesh. He's like, what am I supposed to do with trees? Is pretty much the follow up on that discussion. So the book's just broken. And that's why I'm like, this is kind of fun.
That does sound fun. Like,
Because it's just so obscurely broke bad. And it's violent. The first series was violent. But it's fun because if you are that fan of all that kind of craziness, you get to play the game of, okay, which serial killer / horror thing is this?
yeah.
And some of them they've like combined, some of them are really obscure. So congratulations, October. Where Monsters Lie, cul-de-sac. Have to see the spelling. See? Cole, get it? It's just a bad pun and it's supposed to be. I'm good.
That's it. You good now?
That's it. That's all the things. Oh, well, it's good to be back.
It's good to have you back.
It's good to be back. But that is going to do it for us here at the Pull List Podcast, episode 107. I have to put multiple, like, that's a long number now.
Yeah, it is.
Is in the books. It's in your ears, your eyeballs, because you can see us on the YouTubes. So don't miss that. You when I make visual references, you can actually see them. As many of you know, we don't take this journey of podcasts alone. We take them with a whole bunch of other folks over at Love Thy Nerd on the Love Thy Nerd podcast network and lovethynerd.com. Hector's got like 47 shows over there. I've lost count. Great.
They made Faith and Fandom 180 visual now too.
Oh, look at that. So you can see Hector twice a week now.
That means I have to actually wear clothes when I podcast. That one. Oh.
Awkward.
Yep.
But welcome to the show, everybody. I put on a shirt today.
Did you ever see that Kids in the Hall sketch of a dude like brings a memo into the work? They're like, Richard, were you not wearing pants when you wrote this? And he's like, and he runs out of the room. Some of my favorite ones.
Yeah, it's basically that. Well, there you go. So, yeah, be sure to check us out on lovethynerd.com. You might find some new stuff that's kind of cool, or you can see Hector twice a week now. But wait, there's also more. We've been telling you about the Glue streaming network, GLU. You can download that. You can also see us over there on their app and search for Love Thy Nerd. So, as always, thank you, Todd. Thank you, Hector, for filling in while I was off doing stuffs. But we want to thank each and every one of you for listening, for watching, and for choosing us as your primary comic book knowledge factory on a near weekly basis. So don't leave us hanging. Rate and review the show on all of your podcasting apps of choice. We're on the iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, so many more. We're over there on Glue. We're on YouTube. We're on all the places. So smash that like and subscribe. But yeah, what? It only took 5 seasons to say it. Yeah, I feel dirty. We're not monetizing. How dare us? Thanks for listening, and remember, kids, read more comics.